And what I learned there, and it was a really informative moment in my life, was that there aren't going to be any jobs on a dead ocean. Hello Van Minute, my name is Bren Smith and I'm a regenerative ocean farmer based in the United States. So I was born and raised in Newfoundland, Canada. It's the most eastern point in all of North America. Grew up in a fishing village, and all I wanted to be was a fisherman. And I just wanted one of those jobs, one of those soul-filling jobs, you know, jobs that people write songs about. So when I was an early teenager, maybe 12 or 13, my parents decided to move back. There was actually a vote in the family to move to the United States, and I lost that vote. It was 3-1. I was the only one that wanted to stay in Newfoundland, so we moved to the suburbs of Boston in Massachusetts, and it was just like I sank into the depths of unhappiness as a little kid. I'd lost the ocean, lost fish, lost the sort of, you know, the deep culture, seafaring culture that I grew up around, and I really struggled. I got in a lot of trouble, ended up spent some time in jail, got involved in drugs. I didn't do well on land. Every single time I've been driven onto land has been the worst period in my life. And then I found the ocean again. I headed out and went to a place called Lynn, Massachusetts. It was called Lynn, the city of sin. It was a rough place, but you know, I absolutely loved it. And my captain, Captain Mike, he was a lobsterman, and we'd fish 7 days a week, year round. It was intense. You know, it was the first time I almost died at sea. The moment we got hit by a massive, large rogue wave in the winter, washed over the boat, all the lobster traps started to go off the back. I really learned to be humble in front of the ocean. You learn humility very quickly, that you're never going to overpower the sea, you're never going to win. You know, honestly, I loved it. The trouble was, it was such a destructive way to harvest food. Our trawls were tearing up entire ecosystems, able to only keep a couple fish and the rest would be thrown overboard. And it was clear that there was no future in this. And the real wake-up call was while I was on the Bering Sea, the cod stocks crashed in Newfoundland. 30,000 people thrown out of work overnight. And what I learned there, and it was a really informative moment in my life, was that there aren't going to be any jobs on a dead ocean. And so the question was, how do I make sure my place of work remained and stayed healthy? What everybody was saying at this point, like telling those of us that were fishermen, was aquaculture is the answer. I moved to the salmon farms, and salmon farming was supposed to be the answer to overfishing. But instead, it was exactly what a solution should not be. It was monoculture, it was extractive, pesticides, antibiotics, or you name it. These were industrial pig farms at sea. So disillusioned, I kept searching, right? Searching for how do I stay on the ocean? How do I keep working, but it sort of change my relationship to it. And I ended up down outside of New York, and remade myself as an oysterman. You know, I oystered for 7 years. I built up a successful business, and then the storms hit. Hurricane Irene, Hurricane Sandy came in, wiped out my farm 2 years in a row. That's when I realized I was a canary in a coal mine for a climate crisis that had arrived 100 years earlier than anticipated. I mean, climate change at that point was supposed to be a slow lobster boil, 100 years off, right? But instead it was here and now. And so that was the moment where I had to decide, okay, do I once again be driven back to the land and sort of lose all my dreams, or do I stay at sea? So I ended up reimagining my farm and turned it into a regenerative ocean farm using the entire water column. So think of it like an underwater garden, right? Where you have anchors, you got lines, buoys, just scaffolding. And from there you grow your oysters, your kelp, your scallops, your mussels. You grow anything that doesn't swim away and you don't have to feed. And that gave me a crop for all seasons and really allowed me to start really building a farm that's resilient in the era of climate change. So my journey is a journey of ecological redemption, because the first part of my life was a relationship with the ocean that was extractive, that was taking from the ocean and not giving back. And I'd say all of us are on that journey. right? No matter who we are, we all have eaten food that's destructive to the planet. We turn on our lights, we drive cars. Like, all of us need to examine the lives we're living, the work we're doing, and ask ourselves, okay, how do we change where we're giving back to the planet, giving back to communities instead of just pulling from it? And I think it's going to be, the next 50 years.